El próximo panel nos permitirá comprender cómo, a pesar de las limitaciones y obstáculos, existen diversas empresas que han logrado el éxito con sus operaciones comerciales en Costa Rica. La experiencia de los panelistas que nos acompañan a continuación constituye un excelente insumo para que la comunidad empresarial y el gobierno desarrollen juntos acciones que impulsen la competitividad del país. El moderador de este panel es el señor Strachan, socio director de Mesoamerica Partners. El señor Strachan ha sido académico en INCAE y en el Harvard Business School. Sus actividades incluyen asesoría en funciones y adquisiciones y consultoría estratégica con Mesoamérica y con Merigan Company. También inversiones productivas a través de Mesoamérica Capital Partners y proyectos de interés público y bienestar social con el INCAE, el CEN, el Hospital Clínica Bíblica, la Fundación Strachan y la Fundación Mesoamérica. Les recordamos que para quienes necesiten traducción para este panel, que será en inglés, los aparatos están en la parte de atrás. Sin más, buenas tardes, don Jairo.
Gracias. En español el título es ¿Ser competitivo es posible? O ¿Ser competitivo es posible? Y entiendo que el segundo es como lo vamos a hacer. We're going to talk in English, all of us, and I'm going to ask any of you who would like translations to get them in the back there. I think they're right there. Any of you who have questions, you can put it right up in either Spanish or English. We'll translate them up here together. It's a real honor for me to be able to be with three very successful business leaders of competitive companies, not only here in Costa Rica, but in all of Latin America and the world. I'm going to introduce them first and then say a few words of introduction to our topic. Steve Aronson, as many of you know, is the founder in 1985 of Café Brit, after already having had a successful career as an exporter of cacao and coffee in all of Latin America. Today, Café Brit has 500 shops running from Miami all the way to Santiago, and very successful on the internet. And Steve has built one of the great brands, a brand that has actually added a lot, I think, also to Costa Rica's image in the world. He did studies at the University of Michigan and Stanford, and you'll see later that his great passion is education. And Bill Merigan, am I pronouncing it right? Yeah, sorry. I played poker with him, but I can't pronounce his last name. Is Gerente General, also General Manager of the Procter & Gamble's Global Business Services here in Costa Rica, and provides all sorts of services. He comes from Notre Dame, and he's also has a high position in the Cámara de Comercio, as well as having been a director at AmCham and in other things. I was struck as I got to know them by one difference and a number of similarities, is they don't just have their companies doing it, all of them are directly involved in community service of one sort or another. They not only give of their company's resources. At that time, I did a study of the competitiveness of the companies in the region, with tariff barriers of 200% into a new world of apertura. Everyone knew, and they had to double their quality. And the ones who had done it successfully, I remember Ricardo Sagrera, and many of you know who that. He had sold the company for $1. He thought it was impossible to do. But in fact, he did. A lot of the executives who were very discouraged at the thought of having and more than double their quality, but that's opened up for them. So it's very clear that in the last 15 years, many of the the companies have done what many of us had real serious doubts was going to be feasible, close to a number of them. There was a leader, and there was a team who went out to do this. You know, we want to talk about success stories, but I don't think we want to minimize the level of obstacles and the challenge.
Well, you know, for us, our story in Costa Rica really starts in 1999. The company came through the 1990s having expanded significantly as the Berlin Wall fell, and we picked up a lot of new businesses all over the world, but we were very much managing businesses locally. We reorganized in 1999 to take advantage of scale and also with the intent. And we took all of our services that we provided to businesses and employees and said, let's go create an internal business, what we call global business services, with an idea of also leveraging scale and also getting very good at that work, thinking that that was going to be a critical part of being able to enable the business to expand quickly. So one element of that model was to say,
this is during Vietnam, so I was sort of struck by the fact that there was a social contract that works here. And I was struck by the fact that there was no army. And I was already studying agricultural economics, so I ended up doing an apprenticeship in New York as a coffee taster. Somebody asked me if I still taste coffee, and actually I didn't. And I came back as a buyer working for a multinational in Latin America. Ended up convincing them, as it was mentioned earlier, I ended up convincing them to put their headquarters in Costa Rica because of the excellence of the telecommunications here. We had NIDA in Costa Rica in 1975. And we had a young lady, and out in our office in Rio de Janeiro, we had a young lady whose job it was to wait for a line. That was a job. Half hour. It was about a half hour was really good, so that was really cool. And then she waited for lunch, she called to talk to the operator, and asked the operator if she had to make an international call. And that's sort of one of the things that I think is still here. Jose Rossi was talking about the four factors that we need to be competitive. We talked about capital and infrastructure and education and tecnología. And actually Jose helped us out an awful lot when he was minister, because as we tried to convert our coffee industry or our coffee company from being a company that exported green coffee in bags, we started a mail order business. And that was actually before the internet. And we found out that the rules in the Instituto de Café were the only way that coffee could be exported from Costa Rica was in 69 kilo bags, 69 kilo cabulla bags made in Fideco. And if they weren't in that, there had to be a special permit from the Punto Directivo of Café that we send out there, who are all ticos who learned their business in Café Good. They come back and they say, well, this is great, it's so easy. And you go to Chile and they tell you exactly what you have to do, and they actually do it. All these people have had tremendous skills dealing with bureaucracy. Because there's no place, because Costa Rica is like going to the gym in the morning.
And then the work environment. And then you have to deliver on that. Because if you don't, you'll lose those consumers, so you'll lose that talent. From a development standpoint, once we get it in the company, there is some focus on being choiceful on technical skill development, either supplementing the things that we would like them to have come in the door, or really giving them that insight of the company and how it operates, be that sending them international assignments or training, etc. As well as for us, because we're such a people-intensive organization, we have young Costa Ricans, 24, 25 years old, managing 25, 30, 35, 50 people. We spend a lot of time teaching people on coaching. And so we're deliberate in terms of technical skill training and coaching. And then I think beyond that, a great enabler for us is purpose, values, and principles. Purpose is a great simplifier. If people understand the purpose, why they're here to do their work, they can make their own decisions.